Hello everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel called Living in Hayward, Wisconsin, where we talk about all things real estate related and also just about living in Hayward and what that's like, whether you're here part-time or full-time. We just kind of delve into a lot of things related to the Hayward area. I'm Audrey Miller. I'm the broker owner of Northwest Wisconsin Realty Team. We're located right on Main Street in downtown Hayward. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about a fourth quarter update. I know people are always wondering how the market is doing. How is it different from a year ago? How is it different maybe from earlier this year, all of that. So I try to provide at least a quarterly update of market conditions because I find that's helpful for both buyers and sellers who are making decisions about whether to put their property on the market or maybe if now is the time for them to buy. So that is what we're going to dive into today. So stay tuned. So we're going to start with talking just about Sawyer County, and we're going to focus specifically on the fourth quarter of 2024 and kind of give you the statistics year over year compared to 2023 versus 2024 for the months of October, November, December. Now, as I've mentioned before, keep in mind, this is closings that happen in those months. These properties typically would have went under contract 30 to 60 days prior to that, and then they're closing in the months of October, November, December. Also, before I forget, you'll see my contact information on here. You can reach out to me anytime by text, email, phone call. I'd be happy to help you whether you're buying or selling. And you can always leave a comment on my channel. Reach out to me if there's a specific subject you'd like me to talk about. I'm just happy to hear from you. So, all right. So the fourth quarter of 2024, we actually had 78 listings that sold for an average sale price per property of $373,000. And the average days on market for those properties was 95. So that's from the time it hits the market till it actually goes to closing. And you'll have to excuse me, I'm referencing my notes back and forth a little bit here. Looking down to see those, it's too many pieces of information for me to remember off the top of my head. So now in 2023, in the fourth quarter, we had 87 listings that closed. And kind of an interesting statistic here is that the average sale price was actually $334,000 in 2023. But you'll see when we get into the overall statistics for the year, we are down a little bit on price overall. But for the fourth quarter specifically, we were actually up a good percentage between 2023 and 2024. So I think it might just be the combination of properties. I always try to take a little bit bigger look at the price points, not just one quarter, but still interesting information. And days on market last year was 83. So that number was kind of significantly less, 12 days less on market in 2023 versus 2024. So that's the summary of Sawyer County. As you can see, prices are still up there in terms of average sale price. Things are still selling pretty quickly when you figure that they're closing within anywhere in the 90s, 92, 95, 98, whatever it is. That means that places are still going under contract within 4 to 6 weeks of coming on the market. So I've had some buyers kind of feeling like they have the luxury of a little more time, and it does depend on the property. So some properties that are either priced too high or have something undesirable about them, they're lasting a little bit longer on the market. But the properties that are selling are still selling fairly quickly. So always good, if you're interested in a property, to do something sooner than later versus waiting and missing out on something that you want. And then let's analyze that same information for Washburn County, since Sawyer and Washburn are the two main counties that I work within. So in 2024 in Washburn County, there was a total of properties sold of 51 in the fourth quarter. And that is compared to 2023. 2023, there were 48 properties sold. So that stayed almost the same year over year. And then the price point for 2024 was $351,000 average sale price. And in 2023, it was only $306,000. So again, the fourth quarter average sale price was higher in 2024 than 2023. So that's really interesting. I'm not sure exactly why that is because, like I said, when I get into the year over year statistics, you'll see that we're actually down a little bit. So it's very interesting that we would be up in the fourth quarter. Maybe somebody has a theory on that. I'm not 100% sure, but I see that in Washburn and Sawyer County. But yes, just to get into any property, we're looking at, averages somewhere in that 350 range across Washburn and Sawyer County. And that takes into account properties that are $1 million plus and ones that are, 150,000. So days on market, fourth quarter of 2024 in Washburn County was 82 days on market versus 79 in 2023. So not much change there. Those properties actually moving a little more quickly than Sawyer County, at least in that specific time frame. And if you're curious kind of about the overall market conditions right now, it's wintertime. So it is honestly very hard to tell. What I find is that starting around Thanksgiving, after hunting season is over, and into early February, there's just just not a lot that happens. So there have been many winters where I'm like, oh my gosh, the market is turning, it's slowing down, and then spring comes around and it's gangbusters again. So it's just very hard to tell. A lot of people don't like to move in the wintertime. A lot of people aren't looking at properties in the wintertime. So at the moment, and we'll get to this in a bit, there are a number of listings on the market that aren't moving, but I would say buyers kind of go into hibernation during the wintertime. There's not much to choose from. It's cold, it's miserable outside. So while we sell a little bit of real estate in the months of December and January, it's just really minimal. I've talked about this in videos previously. So it's hard to get a pulse on how the market is going to be in the spring during the wintertime. I think buyers sometimes get a feeling like the market is much slower than it is, and it's just simply time of year. We obviously have a seasonal nature to our business here in the Northwoods. Now, if you're a buyer and there are some listings that are still out there and you're interested, you're gonna have a lot less competition if you choose to shop at this time of the year. But lakefront especially, people like to see their waterfront. They like to see their shoreline. This year specifically, we have such little snow that you can actually see the terrain really well, but we do have ice, and that's just very unusual not to have snow on the ground. But it is the second winter in a row that we've had a shortage of snow. So maybe it's coming a little later. I hope so, for sake of the businesses and all the snowmobilers and all of that. And now let's look at the year globally, the year of 2024. And this is just for Sawyer County. I didn't pull the Washburn County data. And keep in mind, this is residential properties only. I'm not including vacant land in any of these conversations. I do sell vacant land, of course, but residential is definitely the larger percentage and typically what people are more interested to hear about when I'm talking about what the market is doing and where price points are and all of that. So in the year of 2024 total, in Sawyer County, we sold 295 residential properties through our MLS. There's some that close outside of our MLS, and I don't have a good way of gathering data on those. So the number is slightly higher, but the average price points and all of that are going to be similar, whether it was in our specific MLS or not. So the average sale price for 2024 was $388,900. And when I was talking earlier about the fourth quarter, the reason you'll see the average sale price be less for the fourth quarter compared to the rest of the year is because there's really not many lake homes that sell in the fourth quarter, and off-water properties are obviously less expensive. So it kind of gives a little bit of a skewed piece of information there because there's not as many lake homes included. However, the year-over-year information is still accurate and applicable. So $388,900 for an average sale price for all of 2024 in Sawyer County compared to $406 in 2023. And that is only about a 5% differential. I've been hearing buyers saying they think the market's going to turn. I personally think we're going to have another strong year in 2025 in terms of price points and all that. I know interest rates have stayed in that, hanging around that 6.5 to 7 range, but I think a lot of people who have put off buying or selling for a while are just getting to where they just need to for other reasons and they don't want to continue to wait. So if we can get some more inventory out there, I think that's going to help the overall situation because we are still very low on inventory. We do not have a balanced market in terms of how many months supply of inventory. It is still a seller's market. However, as a seller, you have to be realistic about your price. Buyers are feeling like they have a little more leeway, a little more time to think about things. The multiple offers are not as common as they were. So you have to make sure to price your property appropriately. If so, and if it's a desirable property, as most are, then you will tend to go under contract pretty quickly still in this market. The average days on market for 2024 was 94 days. Like I said, again, reasonably short amount of time. In 2023, that number was 90 days. So we've gone up 4 days. We are down 5% on price year over year. So very small, almost negligible decline in price. If anything, it's just a small tick downward. And as far as properties sold, we sold 10% less in 2024 than we did in 2023 as far as overall number of properties that sold in the whole of Sawyer County. And then in terms of properties that are actually on the market and available right now in Sawyer County, we have a total as of today of 156 listings to choose from all across Sawyer County, all price points, towns, cities, etc. So of those, 21 are in an active offer status and 8 of them are in a pending status, which means all contingencies have cleared and they're just waiting for closing. So there is approximately 125 or 120 properties that are available right now. So the interesting thing about this is that something that hasn't sold at this point, the days on market average for those properties that are either under contract or haven't sold is the whole way up at 114 days on market. So as you can see, the properties that aren't selling or closing as quickly, that's an additional 20 some days on market for those specific properties. So again, if you're in the market right now, it's not a bad time to buy. It's not a bad time to look. There's a lot less competition. You may find a few more motivated sellers. Somebody who's left their property on the market over the winter may want to move it a little bit quicker than somebody who's let it expire and is putting it back on the spring, on in the market in the spring. So those are things to think about. Percentage wise, of the 156 listings we have right now, that's only about 1/6 or 1/7 of those that are actually under contract. So there is a decent amount of listings to choose from, but I still hear from buyers often when they're looking, there might only be 1 or 2 properties that match their criteria. And people like to be able to come and look at more properties at the same time if possible. And that's just not too likely this time of year. And I guess what do I see going into 2025? I kind of talked about this a little bit already. I think we're going to continue to see a strong market in our area. The market across the country has remained strong. There's still an inventory shortage. There's some markets that are starting to really decline, but those are specific big city markets that I don't think have a lot of bearing on ours. Florida, their market has been going downhill. Some cities in Texas, they're kind of like these little pockets where they were heavily invested by people who own multiple properties for rentals, etc. And some of those are pulling out and causing somewhat of a decline in those areas, and market times are starting to increase. But we really haven't seen much of that here, as you can see from the statistics that I just gave you. So I hope this is helpful. I always enjoy putting this information out there. I know this is very data heavy. But if you're a person who's looking to buy or sell, it's always nice to kind of know what is going on, what are the trends, what's happening in the real estate market locally in the area that you're either interested in buying or selling. So feel free to reach out anytime. I appreciate you being here, and I hope you enjoy the information in the channel, and I will see you soon.